And there's lots of seats up here. If you're worrying about like being in the front, we're going to turn it all around and flip it so you'll be in the back. Probably not.
Okay, let me get in first. Yeah. Is this mine? Yeah, and then you got the mic. And you can just share whichever mic you want. It's on. You get in. Look, no one else.
There are lots of seats in the front.
I feel super nervous right now for some reason. I don't know what's happening. I think it's all. Everybody looks like they have their game face on.
It got quiet all of a sudden, Dave.
We should have had a race tonight. Everybody looks like they're ready to rumble. Like that's what it feels like right now. Everybody's going to throw their pints down and start running around this track. It's 53 laps to the mile, in case you're wondering about this little track in here. 53 laps to the mile, it's about 100 feet. And there are records set on this track. So if later on somebody is feeling active and they want to get around the track, then maybe we'll have a mile. You'll have to sign a really big, giant waiver, though, on that one. All right. Thanks a lot for coming tonight. We are very excited. This is the first of our, what we hope to be a monthly occasion, but certainly quarterly. These are Tap Takeovers. The Tap Talks is our internal nickname for this. And tonight we have a very special opportunity to collect some athletes from the area who are within weeks of the pinnacle of their training and racing. And it's so fun that we're going to have an opportunity to ask questions. We've got a set of questions we're going to ask. We'll also try to make sure that we get to anybody who needs to ask. I'm going to introduce these girls first, and then we'll get into the questions right away. On our first side here, we've got Carrie Dimoff. Susie, I know, I guess we should applaud to see who's the most popular, right? Is that how we do that? Susie Rivard. Jeannette Faber. Fionna Fallon. And Jessie Vickers. All right. Guess let's cheer off between Fionna and Jessie. Sorry, ladies. I think what we'll start with right now is to go ahead and dig right in. I'm very curious all the time about athletes that I see out running so fast around the waterfront, and I get glimpses of them. So I'd like to start with, maybe Fionna, you can lead us in. What made you think at the very beginning of things that you wanted to be a runner? What was the turning point in your life?
I wish it was a good story. I feel like I actually, my high school civics teacher, he told me that I was like a mediocre soccer player. So he's like, you should try running.
All right. So that is,
I was better at it. So.
That is, I used to teach high school and coach. We just sit at cuts for other sports, hoping to get the cut at athletes so we can get him into cross country. So, and that was early on. You were in high school.
And then I fell in love with it.
And did you run in college?
Yeah, I ran at Iowa after that.
Sweet.
That's a walk-on, but it was fun. Yeah.
You walked on.
Yeah.
In Iowa.
Like, take me.
And now look at you.
Yeah.
Walk-on athlete and learned from her civics high school teacher that she could be something great. And now here you are sitting on our panel. Congratulations. How about for you, Jeannette? When did you think that you were going to be a runner?
Well, soccer was my gateway drug as well. And I think I played basketball, volleyball, soccer my freshman year of high school, but I was like second string on the basketball team. So I decided to try cross country instead and had some success there. I was done with basketball.
I'm getting a theme here that running is by default. I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and run the table here. How about you, Susie?
I'm sorry to say it's the same story. I was scared I was going to get cut from the softball team, so I just joined track because I heard they didn't cut people.
Good. Dodging disappointment by joining the track team. I like that.
But then my track coach told me that I had a chance of running in college and then I would ride the varsity basketball bench. So that was also the decision. So that's when I started doing cross country junior year. Yeah.
This is very thematic. And how about you, Carrie?
I was also a softball player, and I used to watch the track runners walking behind our field over to the track, and we had these huge bags of helmets and bats and all this equipment, and they would just be walking there in shorts and a t-shirt and shoes, and I was like, I want to do that. That looks way better. And my mom was a runner too. She used to put me on the school bus and then go for runs in the morning, so I was like, okay. I might be good at this, but my high school coach thought that I would be perfectly positioned to be a 100-meter hurdler, so I started out as a sprinter,
That's awesome.
And it took me until my sophomore year of college to figure out that was not correct. So
wow.
It took me a little while to figure out.
So if they had the marathon steeplechase, you'd be a serious competitor. Yeah. How about you, Jessie?
I'm a mediocre soccer player as well. So same story. Started playing pretty much every other sport and just stuck with running. Yeah.
Nice. So if we had a really mediocre indoor soccer team, you five could make it up. It'd be an awesome mediocre soccer team that play like a 9-hour game. I want to also follow up with all of you. Well, let's just go in order, starting with Carrie. I think from outside here, we make this assumption that you made the Olympic trials, which is a really giant accomplishment. So you must just hang around all day doing your running thing. But if you don't do that, if you have other things, could you maybe fill in the blank on the rest of your day, if you have a career or your family life? Let's start with Carrie. Carrie, you're not just a pro runner. I'm guessing you have some other stuff. Can you tell us what you do for your non-running hours?
Yeah, I have 2 kids. My older son, Malcolm, is 10. He's in the 5th grade. And my younger son is in the 3rd grade, Oliver. And that would be enough for me. But I also work at Nike. I'm a senior footwear innovator working on running product.
Nice. Well, let's just keep going that way. Susie, how about you?
I am the New Balance rep for the area, and I have a cat that I take on walks and to breweries. He takes up a lot of my time. And then my other time, I like to go back to being a mediocre at other sports as well.
Nice.
I work in client success for a local software development company called Uno Square, and I have an 8-pound French bulldog.
What's your bulldog's name?
Sorry, an 8-year-old French bulldog. Iggy.
Iggy.
8 pounds? He's
he
31
8 pounds
pounds.
and
He's
8?
Actually,
Is he an 8-year-old, 8-pound bulldog is what we're trying to figure out?
No, sorry, yeah. He's a 31-pound potato, actually.
That's probably so no feet tall and 31 pounds. That sounds like a better description. How about you, Fiona?
Yeah, I used to work here, and
Woo! Sorry.
And now I work at Nike as a product test analyst, and I wish I had more things that were cool outside of.
Well, the theme is
I have plans.
you work full
I kill
time,
half of them,
right? That's you do that, right?
Yes, I work full time.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
maybe the overwhelming underwriting point is you're just. So how about you, Jessie?
I work at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Go Wings! Sorry.
Yep. And I do I go to see a lot of shows. I don't have a cat or an 8-pound bulldog. I have some of Fee's plants that I'm trying not to kill.
Buffalo Wild Wings, plants, and running. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. I know when I first met Jessie, I was in London, and I'm like, I must know her. She's like a super fast runner or something. She looked very familiar. She came over to Paula and I and said, oh, Boneyard, right? You guys do honey barbecue? And she's like, I work at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I've served you. I'm like, you have. Very cool. Okay, so so you guys are not just pro athletes. You have other stuff that you do, which I think is super cool. So for those of you out on the other side of this fence, we're looking at people who have worked into their lives something very important. They weren't runners out of the womb. They weren't bred to be marathoners. They found their way through sport and then found a great opportunity to run marathons, which I think is super cool. All right, let's go on and get into some techie questions that I think I have. Certainly. And I think going down the table is pretty helpful. Let's start with Jessie on this end. My question is, if you know it, how many marathons have you run? Which race did you qualify for the trials in? And if you don't mind sharing your time, that would be great.
I just ran one marathon, and it was London. That's where I qualified, and my time was 2:43. 14. Fee and I have the exact same time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, what was the last?
Well, that's it. You got it. Since
That's also where I met Dave and Paula.
Apparently yours is an easy one. You've run one marathon and you qualify for the Olympic trials, which is sort of a piñata thing. Hoist you up and start hitting with you a stick. That's great. How about you, Fiona?
Does dropping out count? I think I've run 5 marathons.
Dropping out does not count.
Does not count. Okay, I've run 5 marathons, and we have the exact same time. Well, gun time, because that's how the trials works. So 2:43:14. You come to memorize the seconds because they make you write it down a lot for the trials. Usually I don't remember that.
I didn't.
Yeah. But 5 marathons I think.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. And what race did you?
Which race did I qualify? California International.
How many have you dropped out of?
Half of them. No, I'm just kidding. Just one? No, 2. 2. Yeah. That was just moving on.
I lost count.
I think I've run 24 marathons.
Woo, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
It's funny, actually, because my qualifying time, gun time, is 2:43:11.
Ooh, yeah.
So 3 seconds difference is
yes.
what I'm hearing. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
and that was CIM 2017.
Nice.
I haven't run a marathon since, so I'm a little nervous right now.
You're well rested. That's what we say.
Yeah. I've run 9, and my marathon progression went from 3 hours, 2:58, 2:55, 2:51. Then I had a bad one, 2:56, and then 2:50, 2:48, 2:45, 2:44.
Wow. If a woodchuck could chuck wood, you just kept chipping away. That's awesome. And you qualified at?
Yeah, at CIM, this past CIM. So, yeah, 2 months ago.
I just had to count, but I think I've run 7. I ran Chicago once for fun, and it was not fun at all. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. And then I was in Chicago for work one year and got an entry the day before, and I was like, I want to do it. So I ran it for fun again, and then I ran the trials in 2016, Boston in 2017, CIM in 2017, same one as you, and that's where I qualified. I ran 2:30, and then I ran New York, and then Doha, and I hope that adds up to 7. And I think Jeannette should just mention one more thing, because when I first met Jeannette several years ago, Jeannette was on a streak where she had run a ridiculous number of marathons, and every single time she had gotten faster. Was it 12 in a row?
Yeah, 12 or 13.
It's amazing.
Depends on how you count it.
So cool. I thought it was so cool.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. I think we should just take a minute right now to give you guys a hand for chipping away and making the time. And one of the questions on the paper that I won't make you answer was, did you know you were on pace to qualify for the Olympic trials? I think just raise your hand if you didn't know you were on pace to qualify. Just had no idea. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you probably knew, right? To the second, probably pretty much. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, the race is right around the corner. It's in Atlanta, and it's in, what is that, like 10 days away? Time's ticking. I think we'll ask a couple of little techie questions. How many people out in the audience run marathons or are curious about the actual act of running a marathon? Hello, Paula. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk about shoe choice. We're in Portland Running Company. There's a billion shoes behind you on the wall. And I love this going down the table because I think everybody wants to hear from everybody on these overriding questions. So could you please share with us the shoe that you're planning on racing in for the trials? And we're going to start with Carrie. And then if you've run in that shoe before for other races, that I think those are two kind of interesting things. So, Carrie, what are you going to race in?
I'm going to race in the Alpha Fly.
Woo!
It's going to launch for the trials. That's all I can say about that because I don't know the exact details of like getting it, but I have trained in it as part of like product testing for Nike, and it's going to be awesome. So
nice.
I hope you guys can all check out a pair.
Yeah, we'll try. It's going to be awesome. For those of you who don't know, the Alpha Fly is the follow-up shoe to the Kipchoge shoe that was worn to break 2 hours. So it's not exactly the same, but it's that kind of geometry, and it's pretty cool. Susie?
I'll be running in the New Balance Fuel Cell Racer Elite. So it's not quite out yet. It kind of comes out March 24th. It kind of comes out in September. There's a very small size run that New Balance was able to get for some of their athletes. So it's awesome. I ran CIM in it, and I was able to qualify 8 weeks after running Chicago. So I think that the shoe really helped with that.
Nice. Cool. Jeannette?
I defer all my shoe questions to Susie. No, I'm running in the New Balance Fuel Cell TC. Okay.
I like that. You just, whatever Susie hands you, you run it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tested it out 2 or 3 weeks ago at the infamous Bath Half Marathon.
I think I saw you there.
Yeah.
Seemed like it was working well. Fiona?
I haven't decided actually. I ran in the 4% this week to be like, oh, maybe I'll go old school.
What did you wear to qualify?
I wore the 4%. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah. I thought about the next percent and then also the Alpha Fly. So I haven't landed.
For those of you that don't know, these are two shoes from Nike. The 4% was the first one, the Vaporfly, that came out with a carbon plate a couple of years ago and was touted as being, compared to other racing flats and a specific racing flat, 4% faster just out of the box. And it's a weird claim because I'm sure many of you are like, wait, 4% of what is what? But it's a significant development in footwear, and a lot of companies are now following up with that. So cool. Good luck on your choice. Jessie?
I'm same as Jeannette. I'm running in the Fuel Cell, New Balance.
Fuel Cell Racer Elite.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I've worn
that's
them.
a wrap. Good job, ladies.
I've worn them a couple times. Yeah.
And so the all of them, the TC doesn't have a carbon plate, is that true?
Yes. Yeah. So
Has a-
the TC's just has a little bit more shoe to it,
Okay.
a little bit more rubber, and then that one's coming out a little bit earlier, and then the Elite is a little bit lighter weight and a little bit of a different foam process.
That's awesome.
but, yeah.
For those of you that don't know, the IAAF, the governing body, just made a rule that you can't wear shoes in the Olympics that aren't available to the general public. It's kind of a new thing because there was oftentimes shoes that got released for the Olympics, and you'd see them on TV and be like, I want some of those. So now in the build-up to the Olympics, the athletes who are wearing the shoes in the Olympics, those shoes will have to be available to the general public. So we'll, all of us normal people, have an opportunity to see them and feel them and hold them. And several of the shoes they mentioned are actually on the wall here. A couple of them aren't out yet. But by the beginning of summer, you should be able to see all of the shoes and hold them and feel them and figure out weight and flexibility. It's pretty neat. It's pretty cool development in the world.
Yeah, you'll be able to buy both of those shoes right here.
You can buy either one or both. We vote on both. You can never tell if you need surface or maybe a personality thing or whatever.
And then you too will be going to the Olympics if you have those. I'm curious, so those of you who don't work for shoe companies, is your, like, maybe not quite sure what shoe you're running in, is that because you switch your shoes a lot? Is that because you're still deciding? I'm just curious if there's, like, lots of shoes that you're trying to pick between.
Wait, why I don't know the name of the shoe?
Yeah, is or just such as a personal quirk? Because all three of you were like, I think it's this one. I guess I'm asking because some of us mortals stress about our shoes so much.
Yeah, I guess I know the names of the shoes I train in, but I've only worn the shoes I'm racing in, I think once or twice. So, and they didn't come with a name, I don't think. So it's a shoe.
It's just a number.
Yeah, it's just a number. The shoe. We call them. To be honest, like we all wear different shoes, but we all call them our boingers. That's
your
what we
boingers?
said. Like, hey guys, are you bringing your boingers? Like, so we don't go with the fuel cell. When you asked that, I was like, I don't know.
You could probably get an autograph from these ladies, but more importantly, we're going to get some free vocabulary to take home. I would like to see that word gain in
Because they
popularity.
feel like boing, boing, boing.
You can come in here now and just ask for the boingers, and we'll go right in the back and try to figure out what you're talking about. We've had a couple of questions turned in, and we invite you to do that. I'm going to read a couple of them now, and I'll see if I can direct these if they need to be directed. I think this is pretty fun. I think probably try to keep this limited and as understandable as possible. But the question is, what do you think is the most important interval workout or tempo run you do for the marathon? So what's like the most important workout for you each for your marathon? Let's start in the middle and work our way out. Jeannette.
I think my favorite workout, and it's pretty sturdy, is 3 or 4 by 5K with a 1K float. So if you're feeling good and you're healthy, I think 4 by 5K is the way to go before a marathon. Again, I really like the 1K float because it's a rest, but it's not a shuffle. So if you can execute that at marathon pace, you can be pretty confident going into a marathon.
For those of you doing math, that's 15 miles of float and running hard, so that's a pretty long workout. 12 and a half miles of hard running, so that's pretty solid. I like it. Susie, how about you? Do you have a benchmark that you go to for a pre-marathon?
I think the biggest one that I really try to nail is you do like 3 warm-up, 16 at pace, and then like 2 or 3 cool down. But I also don't get too like caught up if I don't nail it, because one time I nailed it after we went to a music festival in Mexico, and it was like, whoa, that was weird. I didn't expect to do that. And then one time I like fell into like the grass like 5 miles in, and then I was able to like put together a really good marathon 3 weeks later. So, but that's kind of the one I get the most worked up with and nervous on, and yeah, kind of like shows that you're fit.
All right, I like it. That sounds really hard too. That's like 22 miles. Just quick question, maybe a show of hands. Are long runs by themselves daunting to you, or are these kind of bigger benchmark workouts the bigger thing? Because the reason I ask is a lot of our programs will send us out on a 21-mile run 3 weeks before a marathon, and that's the big tester. Like, just go run 21 miles, and the pace is maybe ambiguous, or at best it's sort of race pace, but probably not. But for you all, it sounds like you have things that are really high volume, but that have a little more structure. True? If you have a question that you want to ask Kelly here, who helped us organize this thing, has paper and pen. She will come around and give you a card. Just raise your hand if you want to ask any one of the women up here a question. Let's keep going with the workouts. So these are pretty great. Let's hear from Carrie. What is your big day?
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, we have started combining. I run for Bowerman Track Club, and we've started combining long run and intervals. So we'll do, like, 1 week, the Sunday long run will just be long, and then the next one, it will have pickups in it. So we'll go out and run, like, anywhere from, like, 1 hour and 45 to 2 hours and 15, and we'll maybe do, like, 5 minutes on, minute off times, I don't know, 8 or something like that, or we'll just, like, progress throughout. So I really like those because I feel like it just gets me more in that, like, marathon tiredness. You're doing the intervals, but you're going really long. And at first I thought, like, why aren't we just practicing marathon pace? I just want to go out and run, like, whatever the pace is and stay there. But then I realized that most of my races were actually run more like fartleks, where I'd, like, run fast in the beginning and then settle, and then there'd be a surge, and we'd go for water bottles, and it would slow again. And so I feel like actually those long runs with the pickups, like changing paces, made me feel more prepared in the race than just doing, like, what I thought was marathon pace.
Fiona?
We have the same coach, so I'm going to say 16 miles at marathon pace. I think it's more of a mental, it's good to vary it too, but the mental, like, aspect of it, although, like, also not getting caught up if you don't hit the times, because I usually don't hit the times, and then the last one I did, so this one, but yeah, I think 16 at marathon pace, and then we also do, like, 3 times 5K, which I think is, like, really mentally hard for some reason, but feels like it prepares you for the marathon.
Awesome. Sorry, we were looking at the questions while you were answering. But Jessie, how about you?
To be honest, since I've only done one marathon, I haven't done that many. So I would probably say the 16 at pace or the longer, faster intervals with kind of short rests that are faster than marathon pace. Those are, I think, a little bit more intense and harder, but then they get you to feel like marathon pace feels a lot more comfy. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessie. That's cool. That's it's given me a bunch of ideas. I have a race in a couple. No, I don't. Sorry. I had one. Just kidding. So that, I think one of the things that I wanted, I was thinking a lot about this with you all and with us out here, is that how do you get ready for that pain that's going to come, and we all know it's going to come. It sounds like you guys have kind of similar approaches. You go deep and then long, and then you add in something besides just running around at, like Carrie would say, like, why not just run race pace? Well, because that doesn't really get you ready all the time. Sometimes you got to mix it up and either do it longer in the run or maybe go a little faster. So that's great. Those are really awesome workouts. Okay, I have a couple. I've got a lot of questions. Thank you, everybody. Trying to sort through the election questions and the political ones, trying to get down to the ones we can go ahead and just do in one day. All right, I'll just see if somebody wants to answer this, and then I'll call on you. How do you overcome the days where you mentally do not want to train?
Oh, I get that a lot.
Jessie, let's hear from you.
That happens to me all the time. I think one thing that's good to do is meet up with friends, or if you can find anyone that will run with you. And then the other thing is to, like, set goals that are big enough that you kind of have to go out there and train every day, so that you know if you don't, then you won't probably, like, get where you want to be.
Do you ever take days off?
Yeah, not a ton, but yeah.
Could you just, everybody, just real quickly before we move on, how many days a month off do you take?
Totally off, or like
just off? Yeah, totally off. No running.
What about cross? Because
no running. How about you can do other stuff?
Like one?
Cross training.
One?
You can cross train.
I think it depends, but, like, when you're, like, really training, maybe one.
Okay.
When it's, like, more low key, then yeah, probably one a week.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't really take a day off, but, like, if I'm traveling, it, like, sometimes this happens, maybe like 1 or 2 a month just from traveling.
Okay. Cool. That's amazing. All right, let's keep, does anybody else want to address that question? Anybody else have a trick to stay motivated?
Definitely treats after.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Usually beer.
What are your treats? What do you do?
Usually beer, but, like, cookies. And
What? Hey, we have beer at the Run Pub. so you can finish here
Exactly.
and get all the treats you want. Okay. This just in for Carrie. Yes, please. What was it like running Doha in the heat at midnight?
I could write a novel about this, but I knew what I was getting into when I signed up for it. Running a marathon in the desert, I would not recommend. And for those who don't know, Doha is in Qatar, and it is a very special place where it is both a desert and very humid. So it's like 90% humid and 95 degrees, and that's like just what it is. And I had not really ever run in any like weather, anything close to that. So after a small amount of panic, I worked with some of the researchers out at Nike to figure out like how we would train for that. And so we did a lot of running on a treadmill in a room that we could just make it very hot and humid and like get ready. So by the time I got to Doha, I had done a lot of practicing, a lot of like sweating through entire outfits. We got to a point where I was trying to run like 8 days in a row in this room on a treadmill, and it was getting so slippery on the treadmill because I was sweating so much that the treadmill became too slippery for me to like continue the run. So we had to glue some grippy stuff to the bottom of my shoes so I could continue. And I would drink like 4 to 6 water bottles like throughout the course of these runs.
Wow.
So I knew mentally, like, this is going to be horrible. I was thinking, like, at least I won't be on a treadmill when I'm doing the marathon. But it was pretty much otherwise just exactly like that. The good thing about running at midnight was that's, like, 2 p.m. Portland time, so there was no, like, weird time thing. I got there, like, maybe 5 days in advance and just didn't switch my schedule. So for 5 days, I just stayed up all night and slept all day. It was like great. I ate breakfast like in the morning and in the evening, and then read a lot of books. It was awesome. But yeah, on race day, like somehow it felt like familiar enough. I got a lot of ice. We had water an obscene amount of times on the course. It was a 7K loop, and I think there were at least 4 water stations in 7K. So that's like, I don't know, not that far in between. And based on the amount of fluid I put out, I think I drank 4 liters of water over the course of the marathon, which is, I don't know, like 8 pounds of water, something crazy. And I still lost a pound during the race. So it was really just a mental battle of like, keep going, you prepared for this. The spectators were looking very droopy when we went by every time. It was really late. There were not that many of them, and they were very hot. But I was just really motivated knowing that other people were stopping. I was like high enough up. It was like, just finish this race and you'll be top 15 in the world. Like, just keep going, do what you have to do. And I definitely slowed way down. Like, I think I went
45. So I had a massive positive split, but it was just so motivating knowing like every step I take is a step toward finishing. And if you finish this, you'll finish the World Championships, and that's a huge deal. And I later found out something like 40% of the field dropped out. So it was definitely like a very surreal experience. It took me months afterward to feel at all like I wanted to do another marathon. So training for this build-up by comparison was like really weird. But yeah, it was really strange. I've never run a night race before. I've never run anything in those type of conditions. And I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, that was my experience.
Nice, thank you. I have another question. We'll go ahead and direct this to, let's go to the center here to Jeannette. Can you talk about any lingering injuries? We don't want to create any bad mojo. We don't, so don't stay long on it, but specifically, how have you dealt with your injury challenges if you've had any?
Okay, so after that 13 Fionna that Carrie mentioned earlier, I've been injured ever since. I have qualified for the trials twice more, so I'm like holding on, but I've struggled. And, oh man, how do I deal with it? You know, it's really just kind of about learning how to deal with your body now. Like, I'm learning that I need to take long breaks after a good cycle, which is not what you want to do when you have a great race. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to train harder, I'm going to get faster, and what I really need to do is pull back. So I feel like I'm not a great person to motivate others to deal with this.
Well, let's go next door to Susie and see if she has any injury issues that she cares to share. Just any little thing. Have you ever been injured at all?
Never.
Don't want to talk about it. Too close to the race.
No, I've just always dealt with hip injuries. I've had a couple stress fractures in my pelvis, and I don't know. When I got my first one in college, like my running was definitely kind of my identity, which I bet a lot of people can relate with, and so it was probably a really good experience to realize like I was so much more than just that. And some recent injuries I've dealt with recently makes me realize like how much I miss running and how much more fun it is, and kind of easier just to train for a marathon, not have to grit through with pain and cross training. But it's really just what you sign up for when you try to train a lot. Like I PR'd in the marathon 3 times last year, and so finally my body was a little bit over it, which is just that's just what happens. So you deal with ups and downs.
By over it you mean tired of running, not over it like recovered. Is that what you mean? Your body was kind of over it?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, your body just becomes a sharp pencil, and I didn't honor that as much, and then it can kind of break a little bit. But yeah, you get tougher, and you always bounce back, and they're kind of definitely make you appreciate just being able to run.
Okay, cool. That's great. Well, injuries are never good, so we'll stop talking about them. But I'm very excited for you all. This is another question. I think this is very interesting. I didn't actually know this. Is it true that 3 of you all went to the same small school in a hand-shaped state? And if it is true, could you please sing the fight song? I guess, I don't know.
Who asked this question?
That was a Dan.
I added the last part, actually. So
we can just do
GV.
Yeah, SU.
Never mind.
We did, but it's actually not that small of a school. Yeah. It's just lesser known.
Yeah.
What school did you go to? Let's get to that.
Grand Valley State University.
Okay. And all 3 of you?
Yeah.
Jeannette, Susie, and Jessie? Yeah. And did anybody go together? Are you all?
So I was a grad assistant when Susie came in as a freshman.
Oh,
and
nice.
Susie was a junior or senior when Jessie came in.
And yeah, she's actually my mentor from my freshman year.
I still mentor her.
Yeah, exactly.
Go Lakers. Sarah Scholl.
There's actually 9 of us racing the marathon at the trials.
They're the 4th school.
I think
9 people from the same school.
Yeah, 10 qualified and 9 of us are racing.
There must be something in the water. Okay. It is Michigan. You're right. That's a bad joke. I apologize, Flint.
Dave, Sarah Scholl, if you're still watching, she says to tell you guys, go Lakers. Oh, yeah. Who knows her? Some of you? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe she's just a random person who says, go Lakers. That's the GVSU.
Oh, she's from Michigan? Wait, are you the Lakers? Is that? Because I'm trying to get this all together.
Do you know?
All right, for everyone. Okay, this is great. Paula just said, you should walk around and let people talk on the mic, because I just talk so much. But we're going for everyone, so let's start with Carrie. Who or what is your spirit animal or your alter ego? It's a job interview question.
I really started to relate to the camel while I was in Doha because of the water retention and the dealing with heat. So I don't know if that's really relevant anymore, but I really just fell in love with camels. So there.
The camel. Deliberate. Susie?
Definitely Rey from Star Wars. And if you know, you know. But when I need extra power, I'll put my hair in her buns. It's great.
Rey from Star Wars.
My senior year of high school, I was nicknamed the Wildebeest, and I feel like I do still channel that, kind of just like shove my way through somehow.
Most people are like cheetahs or like hawks or eagles. You guys are like camel and wildebeest. I like it. Fionna, do you have a creative spirit animal or alter ego?
Yeah, this is one of those questions I would probably answer differently in like a week, but maybe a cat. I love cats. They're just like... They just like lay around and then like no cares.
You're acting kind of like a cat. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm a cat. I don't care. Okay, Jessie?
Slippery penguin, which if you know, you know. Man, I don't even know. That's just kind of our confidence boosting animal when we are in a tough situation. We just pretend like we're a slippery penguin.
It's a story from a three-year-old?
Three-year-old, yeah.
Okay. All right then. That was not what I expected.
Sorry about that.
A lot of other animals left over for you guys to pick from. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. This is a kind of a more in the news and maybe a little bit sensitive, but it's a question that came from the audience, so I will ask it. The question is, do you check your weight before or after a workout?
No.
I do. Sometimes I do this for hydration testing. So if we're doing like a workout to figure out how much fueling to do during a race, we'll do like a weight before and after, including the weight of the drink, just to see like how much did I lose and do I need to take more fluid in. It's more relevant for hot races. So I don't think I don't know. I probably haven't done it at all in this build-up, but yeah.
So not in the negative way that some of us saw in the news a couple months ago, all the hullabaloo about that, and it's been pretty much a hot topic. But from a pure physiological standpoint, you might use it to check your nutrition, like your hydration. I think that's a really good question. It kind of leads me into the next question that we would all like to know, and that is about fueling for the race. Besides what the race might provide in water and sports drink, do you have a fuel that you're going to use? And if so, could you please share it? Let's start with Jessie over there.
I think what my plan is to do Morton, whatever you gave me, Dave.
Did it just right, yes. Morton.
Yeah, but then I'm also going to shove some goose in my shorts just in case I can't find my bottle, because I've actually never even used a bottle before, so I don't know how easy it is going to be to find it. I think there's
Your
like
specific
500
bottle.
of us racing. Yeah. So
You
I'll
should
probably
put a
just
slippery
some.
penguin on the top of it. You'll
I
find it
probably
there.
will.
Okay.
Honestly.
Fiona, do you have a fuel
I
mechanism?
just take like a honey stinger, acai one, like 2 or 3 of them, and then I don't really do anything else. Caffeine I haven't tried because I'm a little nervous about that whole ride, but
No caffeine, but honey stinger.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I'm not particular, but I actually do want caffeine. I have a really strong stomach, and I feel like the caffeine really helps, especially late in the race. And I am planning to take the Martin as well.
Is it Morton or Martin?
It's a great question. I think you kind of have to say with a pseudo accent, like Morton.
Morton. So, yeah, what Jessie was mentioning, we get bottles at the race, and so it's kind of nice. You can put what you want in a bottle. So I've been training a little bit with Morton, and then I'll shove some goose in my top. But then I also like to tape the Hammer and Duralights on my bottles because I feel like those electrolyte pills have really come in handy, and especially the last couple of my races late in the race.
Nice.
I use Scratch, which I think is like really similar to Martin. I just don't really like the taste of Martin, so Scratch is just like a different, same thing though.
Okay, cool. I wanted to come back just because I'm into clinics like this. You mentioned a couple of things. So Morton is a gel and a drink mix. It's here, and if you have questions about it, you can ask afterwards. Ask the guest speakers, or you can ask one of the Portland Running Company people. We also have goo here on hand, and then we mentioned Endurolights, and that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is just how to stave off cramps, stay hydrated, and keep a balance of electrolytes. And Endurolights are a pill you can take, so they're actually a capsule. They don't upset your stomach, and they're great. They're also here. So if you have questions about nutrition afterwards, please do find somebody. Start with them, and if they can't, we'll help you. All right, this is a great question. I think we'll just go with this one. During your build-up to the marathon and your training, if you know it, how many miles a week do you run? Let's start with Carrie.
I would say every buildup is different. So this time, I think the highest week I'll have was like 93 miles, but that was 1 week, and most of them are maybe like in the 70s or 80s. When I trained for Doha, I actually took a month and went to Park City, trained with my friend Caitlin, who's here. And that month I did like 4 weeks in the 90s, which was awesome and great, but normally my work schedule wouldn't allow that. So I've always felt like I'm a low mileage runner, and until like I trained for New York last year, I'd never run more than 70 miles in a week. So I've been all over the map, but now that I've tried a lot of different things, I think my ideal, like I feel confident, but it's not like killing me, would be probably like averaging in the 70s or 80s per week, something like that.
Can you shed a little light on how many times a week you run? Like how many actual times you're hitting your watch?
I run every day. I don't really take days off. If I take a day off, it's like a 5-mile run. And like...
Just got that right? The one day off is a 5-mile
Yeah.
run? Okay.
I would try to run like maybe 3 days a week. I would do a second run.
Okay.
And the second run for me is like 3 miles or something, just like to get out and like move around a little bit.
So get a little extra miles. So like 10 runs a week. So people are calculating right now 70 miles a week is 10 miles a run, but if you run 10 times, it reduces the liability a little bit. How about you, Susie?
I kind of train based on off of my job, because sometimes my job I'm on the road and I feel like I'm working like 12 to 14 hours a day, and like running 65 miles feels the same as if I'm in Portland running like 80 miles. So I try to like be really cognizant on what my body is rather than just a number. But I would say like I peak in, around 75-ish, but yeah, that's probably where I peak. And then if I look back like 10 weeks before a marathon, I'm probably actually averaging more like 65. Like when you, yeah.
I've been dealing with some random injuries this cycle, so my peak's probably around 65, 70. But normally I'm similar to Carrie, high weeks in the 90s and low weeks or rest weeks in the 70s.
Similar. I think, usually it's in the 70s, 80s. This cycle we hit 90s, which was unusual, and I was tired, but recovered quickly from it. But normally it's like 70s, 80s per week.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Are you seconding that, Jessie, or do you want to?
Yeah, second that. But I don't have a car, so I walk, jog kind of everywhere I go. So.
Do you ever look at your steps on a watch or anything? I mean,
they're crazy because I'm a server, so I walk. I'm on my feet all the time.
Wow. Will you back off from work a little bit in this last week? I mean, do you have that luxury or no?
No.
All right, good to know. You guys are crushing it. This question came in from one of the people looking at Facebook Live. How do you balance time goals with not getting too obsessed with it? How do you maintain the love for your sport? Let's start in the middle and work our way out. Jeannette, do you mind getting on that one? You don't have to. If you don't love your sport, you can skip it. You can pass.
I think time goals are great, especially when you're healthy. Like Jessie mentioned, that can get you out of bed on a cold, rainy morning when you don't want to run. This cycle, I think none of us are probably having a time goal because Atlanta is going to be a roller coaster. So, I think it's really more about going out there and just mixing it up with the women and trying to have a strong finish. I don't know. It's like, again, going through injury, like I have thrown my time goal out the window and I'm just trying to finish and trying to have a strong performance. So you got to really don't let your time goals drive you crazy, but when you're fit, let them motivate you.
Nice. Wow, that's great. Susie?
I like A, B, and C goals. So I've gone into some races where my A goal is a time goal, and sometimes, like when I did London, I was going to race that thing no matter what. And so my A goal is not always a time goal, but sometimes, so not to get obsessed with it. And my coaches taught me, like, so you have your A goal, but when A goes out the window, you have a B goal. And when B goes out the window, like, what is at least will you be happy walking away with? And so I think that kind of helps, because maybe it is finishing the race and you can still be like happy you finished.
Awesome. Carrie?
I agree with both of those. I think those are great ideas. I also feel like I usually spend a lot of time leading up to a race trying to think about what my goals are, because it really has to be meaningful to me, like a certain time or a certain place. Like, it doesn't always feel like there's a logical, like, what do we want to get out of the Olympic trials? I don't know. But often I'll just spend a lot of time in the week leading up, like trying to figure out what does success look like. And usually it just has to do with, like, how much have I put in? What is the effort or result that I'll be happy with? And I haven't necessarily figured out what that means to me for Atlanta. But, like, for instance, for Doha, like, I wanted to finish. I wanted to do justice to all my training. I wanted to, like, compete reasonably well with, like, the other Americans in the race. But, like, time wasn't a thing that I could even think about. And place, it was really hard to say what that would be. So I just wanted to, like, go and run knowing I'd put, like, a smart race plan together and like put all the effort out there. Yeah.
That's awesome. Fee?
Yeah, I kind of similar, like adjust it per race. I've only had a time goal once, which was for the trials. Other than that, it's just been like kind of going out, seeing how it feels, and it feels reasonable, and sticking to that as long as possible. Yeah, with the trials, I feel like mine's been more of a play school, just getting, I don't even know. I think I'm in the 200s right now ranked, so maybe like top 50% or something like that. But just not even worrying about that, just sitting and kind of having fun and then picking off people from there.
So you might, what Fionna was saying is you might have a little bit of a play school because you don't know the course might be tough, whether it could be hard, you're in a really top class field, but you see your ranking going in, you can use that as a motivation to maybe get a couple bib numbers higher than your ranking. That's cool. Great. Jessie?
Yeah, I've actually never really had a time goal because I ran my first marathon, which is free PR type situation. And then, Atlanta, like from what I've heard, isn't fast, or I think it's just going to be a lot of ups and downs and turns, and I don't think it's necessarily not fast. It's net downhill by 7 feet, so I'm trying to keep that in mind.
So for Jessie, it's the little things that will keep
but
you.
When I did write out my goals, and I just was like, I want to be, when I'm on the start line, I want to be excited to race, like not burnt out or like dreading it. Like I just want to be healthy and fit and like ready to go.
Great.
I would like to add that I also have a marathon rival. And that is very motivating to me, too.
Oh, that's awesome. Who is it?
Her name is Roberta Groner, and I have never beaten her in a marathon, and now
Roberta
is my
Groner,
chance.
Carrie, Dimoff is coming after you. If you're watching on Facebook, wherever you live, Roberta.
Does she know?
You're in trouble.
Roberta is really nice. She is a really great runner, but like 3 consecutive marathons, she was the first runner ahead of me. Like she beat me by 1 place 3 times in a row, and I was like, I'm going to get her, and then it has not happened yet, so I wish her the best. I hope we both run well, but I just want to one-time beat her.
We all hope that you beat her and that she runs horribly, so we'll just say it out here. We're going to say it. Roberta Groner, you're going down. You heard her here first. We had a couple of personal questions directed at specific people. I'm going to try to get to those now. Let's see. Oh, this is kind of a cool one. Fionna, you have lived in a number of other countries and done work for some nonprofits. Does running charge you up for your work and vice versa?
Yeah, I guess. So when I was living abroad, it was both times I was working with NGOs, and the second time in Kenya was in a refugee camp, so it was it was just really emotionally tiring. So yeah, running was like my only therapy. They're not like therapy. They're counselors on like stand for the workers there. So I would run in like these loops, the only like safe loop we could run in to kind of get like a break from the day. And then when I was in Tanzania, similar, but I could run like anywhere. But it was similar. I like the volume was super low. It was just like 20 to 30 miles a week, but it was something to get out the door and just like have a break from life. But yeah.
Wow. And you've been all over the world, which is pretty cool. And you managed to run the whole time, or at least get runs in, so that's cool. Jessie, your favorite running memory on the Trials profile page is circumnavigating Mount Hood with friends. Can you talk about that trip and how you planned it and what your route was and what your next adventure after the Trials might be?
Man, well, we didn't necessarily plan it that much. I mean, we looked over the elevation and river crossings and researched mostly snacks, like what snacks to bring. And then we just went for it. Our route was counterclockwise. And it's one trail. So
how far is it?
It's 41 miles and I think 11,000 feet of elevation up and down.
41 miles. Okay.
I think so, yeah.
And the snacks were your main sort of concern there? On the 41
yeah,
miles?
I brought pizza, Oreos, jelly beans, gummy bears, Rice Krispie treats.
It does sound
Snickers.
Fun. Let's go to Mountain Head and run around so we can get your snack bag.
That's when we were packing. I'm like, this is literally the best. We're like putting candy in backpacks and going to spend all day in the woods with my friends. Like,
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Nice. Jeannette, you're involved with the Portland Track and the Portland Track Festival. Can you tell us just a little bit about this project?
Yeah, so Portland Track was started in 2008 as the groups in Portland, the running groups, came together and a track meet was created out of it. I was with Team Athena back at that time, which was a really pivotal group for me. It was the first time I even considered qualifying for the trials. So I ran the 5K in something terribly slow, but then 5 years later I came back and I was running really well, and I ran my 10K PR there. And so 2.5 years ago I got involved with the board, and what we're trying to do is just create really good opportunities for athletes to run well in Portland. And looking back on our first question, all 5 of us qualified for the trials, either in California. Everybody in California? London. Okay. So clearly not in Portland. And what we're trying to do is now not only create good track meets, but also extend that to the roads. And we have a new series called Our Thing, where we're injecting prize money into some local races, trying to elevate the local racing scene, bring the best runners together to really compete against each other, get some rivalries going, like Carrie, we'll need you out there. And, reward people with some money and really motivate them a little bit. So it drives me crazy sometimes. I was up late last night with our Tracklandia episode, which we do once a month, but it's really fulfilling to kind of give back. I feel like I'm graduating out of competitive running, but it's nice to be involved with that, because when I was really coming up through my best years of running, I was part of the Boston Athletic Association, which is a fantastic group which really supported me, and the New England USATF circuit was a phenomenal way to compete and to push myself, and so I'm trying to bring that to Portland, because we have a great running community. We just need a more competitive scene here.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's a disparity in town. There's a lot of great athletes in town, and a lot of those great athletes don't happen to run local races, so that's a really cool project. How can we get more information on that, Jeannette?
Let me tell you. So at portlandtrack.com, we've got information on the Our Thing racing scene, which does include road, track, and cross country. We're starting small with 5 races this year, but hope to grow that quite a bit next year. And then if you're in town, we also have our flagship meets are both track meets. They are the Portland Track Festival, and I'm going to forget the dates, but it's a Thursday, Friday in June. And then we have the Stumptown track meet, which is a Friday in June as well. You can also ask Jeff. He's back there, and he knows all the dates. And yeah, everyth's at portlandtrack.com.
Cool, thank you. Let's see, we're also going to do a raffle. So I know that's why a lot of you are like, okay, when's the raffle? So I'm just going to say right now, Kelly has raffle tickets. Do you still have them to give out, or is that really? Everybody has a raffle ticket that wants one? All right. I think one person doesn't. You do? Oh, you want another one? Okay. I see your game, sir. So we're going to do that in just a second. Okay. About terrain they're going to cover. You can come here and watch the race. We're going to have both men's and women's airing here, and I'm not sure what time, but it's going to be pretty early in the morning. But we'll race starts at 9 here. Come at 8:30 here. Come at 8:30 on the 29th to Portland Running Company in the Run Pub. Okay, so let's go ahead and just. I don't know. I don't know how to send this off. Are we all good? Does anybody want to ask one last question before we wrap this up?
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
I have a question for Susie. You have an impressive beer mile time of 7:01. Is that right?
That's right.
Oh,
7:01.
That's what I had on my list. I forgot. Sorry.
I feel like since we're at the Run Pub here, this is a great way to perhaps end this before the raffle. How does one achieve a 7:01 beer mile? That's pretty awesome. What's the secret? For any aspiring beer milers out there, it's when you run one lap around a track.
Did you run track?
4 laps. You.
And then you chug and run and chug and run and chug and try not to puke.
Exactly. So you chug a beer, you run a lap times 4. the biggest advice I would give would be to train heavy, race light. So just drink a lot of IPAs all the time. And a lot of us pros, we use Bud Light Platinum because it's 6%. It has to be at least 5% alcohol for beermile.com official rules. So it tastes light, though. That's the biggest advice. And burp a lot. And another thing people do is they come in too fast before their beer. So like that last 100 meters, slow down so you can like breathe, and then you can chug your beer and go off again. So
7:01 or 2? 7:0.
7:01.
7:01 for the beer mile. Bud Light Platinum apparently is on everybody's menu list from here on out. Well, we really want to wish you all the best of luck next week. We internally, we always say run like the wind. I don't really know what that means. Hopefully it's a tailwind and it's pushing you along at a very high clip. We know you're all going to do great. For those of you that show up to watch the race, we're going to cheer you on every step of the way while we're probably training heavy, Susie. So we'll probably be drinking IPAs while you're racing. So let's go ahead and start the drawing. Thanks a lot to Carrie, Susie, Jeannette, Fiona, and Jessie. Great luck, ladies. So as not to draw anybody casting aspersions on me, I'll have them draw the tickets so that it's not on me. Okay, this is for round trip tickets to, just kidding. What are we giving away? A New Balance cap and a Run Pub pint glass. 601-140. Thanks to Carrie Dimoff. Good job, Carrie. Winner number 1. Let's do that again. I feel like I'm doing an auction. Same prize again. New Balance hat and a Run Pub pint glass. These are limited edition. There's only been a few made. And I'm not sure if I'll ever make them again. So 601-116. Must be present to win and present. Yes. It's not a competition, but both Carrie and Susie had people here, so no pressure, Jeanette, but hopefully your person's here. Choose wisely. Should probably have you read them out. 601-118. There's an ink mark on the number. I know. You guys are like, what's he doing? Hey!
Yeah, I know. It's good.
We have 4 more of these. This gift pack. We'll work our way back. Fiona. 601-150. I thought you said 150. That would be great. David Harding. Officer Burrell is going to check that ticket, I guess, apparently. There you go. Congratulations. Okay, Jessie, no pressure. Everyone's looking right at you to win some awesome prize. Let's just yell loudly because we won something. Let's yell right now. Yell. Woo! Yell if you didn't win something. Yell if you hope to win something. 601-130. Yes. Well, that's just convenient, isn't it? Another former PRC employee. We didn't have that rule that you can't have worked here ever before, because that'd be like half the people in this room. Let's work our way back the other way. If you don't win, you need to let out a very exasperated, disappointed sigh. Ready? 601-145. Oh. It sounded way more like a heating pad or something. Oh, feels good. Okay. I think we should up the ante. I feel like we should add something to this prize pack. What do you think? Paula loves when I do this. I'm going to go ahead and on this next ticket after this one, we're going to do not a pint glass, but a growler. Full. Yeah. Which is roughly 4 pints, which means you could go run a beer mile with it. 601-105. Sarah Price.
Another PRC.
Sorry, Sarah. Next prize is the big one, but that would be weird too because you also worked here and it would start looking sketchy. I'm going to go with let's see the bag. Let's make this a big one. This is a big one. Oh my, your choice of New Balance bag and a Run Pub growler filled, worth like $1,000. 601-117. Hey! Yep, down, 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 yep, Do I get it for me or do I get it for my person? The big debate. Hey, oh, you get a growler too, so there's that. You got the growler too. It was a grand prize. What? I qualified for the trials? Okay. Did you straw?
I just draw, yeah.
Right. Did you donate these awesome prizes?
I did.
Thanks to Susie for donating the New Balance hats and bags. That's very nice. Okay, this is a pack for 3 people. Apparently 2 of them will be wearing hats and 1 will be carrying a bag. This is 2 hats and a bag. Is this the last thing? Yes. Okay, let's put this cup down. And this is the last prize. We don't want you to race out of here. The bar's still open. And we'll be here to talk shop too. And can you ladies stay for just a couple minutes if people want to come up? All right, 601-162. Ho! And you sat up front, which is awesome. All right, that concludes the raffle section of tonight's program. We've done our talking, we've done our raffling. Some of you have done your drinking. We invite you to hang out. Please stay. Find a Portland Running Company employee if you have questions about that stuff. Otherwise, come on up and ask questions. We appreciate you coming. We'll see you hopefully next month.
I went back to the World Championships, and I got pneumonia when I was 7:08. I thought I could run 6:30. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for watching our presentation here today. I'm going to make sure this is recording. It was a great time with everybody. Everybody, some great questions. There's so much more we could have asked them. But make sure you tune in, come down to the Run Pub on February 29th. They're going to have a live viewing party of the marathon trials, the Olympic marathon trials, which is super exciting. And I don't know if I can come, but it's going to be pretty great. So wish them all good luck. And until there, be active, have fun, and give back. We'll see you next time.